Hey everybody, this is Rykard here again, and today I'm bringing you another UU match with my team against an opponent by the name of the G-Monkey, or as he's also known on YouTube, the GraffikMonkey. This is just some guy that I've talked to a few times on PO, and he's been really nice to me and always excited to see me online and always wants a battle. So we decided to have a UU match this time. So he leads off with his Roserade, and I lead off with my Mismagius. I predict a Sleep Powder on the first turn, so I go for Substitute, and luckily for me, that's exactly what he does. So I'm able to start setting up Calm Minds. He goes for Sludge Bomb, that it doesn't break my sub because it's resisted, and because, I have that boost now. So I'm sitting pretty good right now. He goes for Leaf Storm on this turn to just break my sub, but it doesn't matter to me at this point because now he can't do any damage to me, and I'm at +2 for both special attack and special defense. So I see this as another free opportunity to just go for Substitute while he switches out into his Milotic. Now, unfortunately for me, this Milotic is not like the normal Milotics I've seen, or at least I haven't seen a Milotic like this in a very long time, meaning that he's actually, instead of being the Scald, Dragon Tail kind of set, he actually packs the move Haze, which you'll see right here. So that basically makes all the stat boosts I just got completely invalid. So that kind of stinks for me, and as you can see from here, this Shadow Ball is doing absolutely nothing to this Milotic, which proves to me that it's more specially defensive than physically defensive, I believe. And later in the match, as we were talking, he was actually very surprised that it wasn't as physically defensive as he thought it was, which is I'll get to that when we get there. But here I just switch on to Bronzong because I realized that there's nothing this Milotic can really do to it, and it's like the perfect opportunity for me to just set up my Stealth Rock. So here he goes out into his Roserade as I do this, and unfortunately for me, I have to sponge this Sleep Powder, and I don't really have any other better Pokemon to do it. So assuming he's going to go for Leaf Storm or start to set up entry hazards, I decide to go out into my Rotom, but he actually makes a really good play here and goes for Sludge Bomb, predicting the switch because obviously Bronzong is immune to poison, being a Steel type. But rather than actually just go for the Overheat, because I was convinced he was going to switch out at this point, I just go for Volt Switch. But good for him, he stays in, and he goes for another Sludge Bomb. However, I just got into Bronzong to take that. Now, I was actually very surprised, as you will see on the next turn, by the fact that he has Hidden Power Fire, which means to me that this is actually just a completely offensive Roserade, which I'm not used to seeing, because most of them I've seen just set up entry hazards or something. Even though my team doesn't really mind spikes or toxic spikes, because Milotic gets a Marvel Scale boost from Toxic Spikes, Machamp gets a Guts boost from Toxic Spikes, and everything else levitates. So that's honestly something really cool about this team. But he's able to take out my Bronzong, and I'm just going to send in my Flygon and Fire Punch it. I guess he might not have might not have expected me to use Fire Punch or just go for U-turn, but I obviously, wanted to get rid of this Roserade as soon as possible. So here, I'm going to let him keep thinking that I am Choice Scarfed, because that's what most people assume a Flygon is. So I'm just going to switch out, even though I didn't really have to. And I just go onto my own Milotic to deal with his. Now, if I didn't have Dragon Tail on this Milotic, this would have just been the longest stall war ever. But luckily for me, he switches out, even though I do go for Dragon Tail anyways. He goes into his Registeel, and I just Dragon Tail him out into his Flygon. Now, predicting him to either go for Earthquake or Outrage, I just go for Rest because I was pretty confident in my ability to take either of those moves. But he just goes for U-turn. He gets a crit, but it doesn't matter because, as you can see here, I'll just go for Rest. And he goes right back out into his Registeel. Now, his Registeel probably in here to set up Stealth Rock or something. But he actually predicts a switch right now. I guess he wasn't expecting me to have Sleep Talk. Unfortunately, I Sleep Talk Rest, but he predicts a switch probably into my Rotom because obviously, the fire move is going to be super effective against the Registeel, and he goes for Thunder Wave, which unfortunately doesn't work out for him, but good for me. And so I'm just going to keep going for Sleep Talk, and I'm assuming he's going to want to set up rocks pretty soon. But unfortunately for me, on this next turn, I'm able to Dragon Tail him, and I Dragon Tail him out into his Darmanitan, which is really good because this Milotic just destroys Darmanitans. With the combination of Stealth Rock damage, Life Orb recoil, and Rocky Helmet recoil, this Darmanitan just took 25%, or sorry, 50% off of just a switch in, which is amazing. But here I wake up obviously and I go for Scald on the Darmanitan, but obviously, since he U-turned, it doesn't matter. I don't get a burn on the Scald, but I obviously have to switch out here. And figuring that the switch to Flygon was going to be incredibly obvious because obviously, I'll be immune to the electric move, I switch out to my Rotom instead, which I assume could take either the electric move or a Heat Wave or whatever he wanted to do. Why would he go for Heat Wave? But I'm able to trick him a Choice Scarf here, which turns out to be really good. And he sort of switches out since he's locked in on Thunderbolt, and he predicted my switch in a Flygon there, but I just decided to stay in with Rotom and just go for Overheat, and I die from the Life Orb recoil that I just got when I tricked the items. But luckily for me, he brings in his Milotic, and I'm able to just easily go out into my Machamp. Now here he makes this really funny play, and this wouldn't have happened if he didn't see the match that I did before this. He was actually watching the previous one I had, but he switches into Registeel, predicting me to go for Toxic. But I obviously don't, and I go for Close Combat, and I get a critical hit, which probably mattered because I don't have any attack investment in this Machamp. And I just go for Close Combat again on this turn to take out the Milotic. He actually was thinking that he could survive this, but I guess he couldn't. This is where he was assuming he was more physically defensive, but I kind of knew from before that that wasn't going to be the case. But here he just goes out into his Darmanitan, and I just go back into my Milotic. And honestly, this Darmanitan killed itself, which I find to be the most hilarious thing. Like, I didn't deal any damage to this Darmanitan. It took 2 Rocky Helmet recoil, Flare Blitz recoil, Life Orb recoil, and Stealth Rock damage, which I think is hilarious. But I'm here, seeing the Pokemon that we both have left, I decide to stay in because if he wants to lock himself in on Thunderbolt due to the Choice Scarf, I can just immediately go out into my Flygon and I'll be immune to it, and he'll have to switch out because he's choiced, which is exactly what I do. So here I just go for Outrage because all he has left is his other Flygon, and this is going to be obviously a super effective hit, so it's going to kill, which is awesome for me. And now here it was really funny in the chat, he was begging for a super crit, meaning that I think he was implying that he could do a critical hit that will kill like 2 teammates in one move. But unfortunately that is not the case. So here he reveals to me he does have the Hidden Power Ice, which I was predicting before, but unfortunately he's going to be locked into this move, and my Mismagius is able to take these Hidden Power Ices all day, as you can see, because they're not doing any damage. So I just go for Shadow Ball first, and I'm able to take it down to 5%. And I figured that rather than KO with another Shadow Ball, I figured it would be more interesting for me to try and hit with Will-O-Wisp and have him die from that instead. So that's exactly what I do, and I do hit the Will-O-Wisp, so he dies from burn damage, because I'm being a jerk. And that was pretty much the battle. So unlike the previous videos, my Mismagius actually was incredibly helpful in this battle. But that's it for this match today. It was a really fun match, and I'm glad I had it with the G-Monkey because it was a lot of fun. As I said, this will be the last match that I do with this U team, so expect an analysis of this team later this week. I'm actually really excited to do this one because I find this team to be very, very unique, kind of like that NU team that I made way back. But I hope you guys will get a kick out of me doing that, and also I would like to do kind of Q&A video at some point, so maybe I'll leave more information about that in the next video. But in case you missed the previous one, I did get a Tumblr, so follow me on that. I'll leave the link in the description. And that's pretty much all I have to say about this. So as always guys, thank you all for watching, take care, and goodbye.